Okay, so members, you're welcome for our weekly webinar about career mentorship, but also scholarships and human capital development. This is brought to you courtesy of African Center for Career Mentorship. And so we give a number of services. We support you to realign your CV. We help you to discover your purpose in life. We help you to progress in your career by supporting you to make the right decisions using the 4W framework, which was designed by myself, but also using the WOT technique in responding to scholarship questions or scholarship essays. And so you're welcome to check out on our social media platforms, but also contact me for purposes of working with you, but also joining our team that we are working on already. Good news is that in our coaching team of 17 members, as of yesterday, 3 members have already been admitted to UK universities. And so we are still counting on because it is still early. Of just the process of admissions are still on. And so we think by August next year, we'll have a lot of success. And so you're welcome to join our winning team. So today's session is a continuation of the session we had last week. And so if you missed last week's session, please, you're welcome to check it out on our YouTube channel. Our YouTube is African Center for Career Mentorship. And so you're welcome to check it out. It will have information on what we covered last week. And we are focusing more on how to apply for grants. So last week, I was telling you some of the basics ranging from the time when you make a decision that I should respond to this particular call and what you should bear in mind. And so today's session is going to be a continuation of that part 1 that we covered. Now, good news is that there is a running call now. This running call is open. And so I just want to go through with you on how you can navigate this call. So this call is on right now. The deadline for submitting your applications 18th of January. And so if you're really interested, you could give it a shot. Now, the first step, if you can read through, and I'm going to take you through, but if you can see, the first step is that if you're thinking of submitting your project, you need to fill this link before 15th of December. So the actual submission is by around 18th of January, 2024. But if you're going to submit, for them to have information, if you're going to submit, they want you to submit, to fill a form and tell them, you know what, you're welcome to submit your interest. But I just want to take you through how to navigate such a call, which is currently running. The first thing to do is to read the call from the beginning to the end. It's very important for you to understand the call. So this particular call is 1 million £1 million prize competition, and it's called the challenge, the Trinity Challenge on data-driven solutions to antimicrobial resistance in low and middle-income countries. So low and middle-income countries, Uganda is one of them, Kenya is one of them. So most of the countries in sub-Saharan Africa, they lie under low and middle-income countries. Now, the challenge of antimicrobial resistance, it may not be your specific field, but I'm just using it for examples. But for you, your field can be in education, your field can be in social work, your field can be in community health, or in agriculture. Like last week, we had a very nice conversation with the team that are doing work in agriculture.
Yeah, let me transmit.
Yeah, so the first thing to do when you come across this grant is to read about it and understand it in details. They normally give you more information. For example, this one here, they've given the list of funders. So you need to go and read about the funders and you see who are the funders behind this work. Because last week we realized that funders normally have interest. Funders have something they are pursuing. And when you are responding to the call or to the call for proposals, you need to be seen as somebody who is going to contribute to their agenda or their interests. And so that's very important. So here they talk about the previous edition. In other words, the edition which was there previously in 2021. And it is very important for you to go and watch the previous edition. In other words, you need to go and watch and see the people who won last year. What did they submit on? The people who won in 2021, what did they submit on? What are their success stories? Does the website have a sample of the previously written or previously submitted grants? What are those people working on? Which countries were they coming from? That information is very important when you're preparing your application. So they continue to give information and they give some of the work that the university is working on. And that's where the call, or that's where the funding is actually hinged. So it's important for you to go and read about this particular site, which they are referring to. They call it the Sentinel Forecasting System for Infectious Diseases. And they even have a list of winners. So you need to go there and see who are the previous winners. But also you need to go and check on the work they are doing. What are they working on? Then they bring the current call. In other words, what they are working on right now. They're like the current edition is focused on how data and analytics can reduce the impact of antimicrobial resistance and bacterial infection in low and middle income communities. And the prize is £1 million. My big message is you need to understand the call. So the call is on data and analytics. The call is on antimicrobial resistance. The call is on low and middle income countries. So the first question for you as you're preparing to respond is that, is your research in low and middle income countries? We can begin from there. If your research is in low and middle income countries, that is one step forward. The second thing is your research on antimicrobial resistance, or do you love antimicrobial resistance? And again, I must emphasize that I'm just using AMR for purposes of just illustrating, but you can use another aspect in your field. So the second question to answer is antimicrobial resistance, your food. Do you love it? Do you enjoy eating it? If yes, that's one step in. The third step, do you love data? Do you love analytics? If you do love data and you love analytics, then the third question is also in. And that puts you in a better position to respond to this particular call. So they even take you through data and all those things there. They take through AMR, One Health, technology, and so forth. But I want to go through that. They also take you through what they mean by saying low and middle income countries. What do they actually mean? Now, when you're preparing to respond to this, it's extremely important for you to go and check out all that information. They even have an overview of the scope of the work, but even have some of the sample questions here. Now, this is a very important area. Here they've called it a sample question, but sometimes they call it frequently asked questions. I highly recommend to my mentees that please, this is a beginning step for you to go and understand the call in detail when we are going to go there. So how do you participate? They guide on how you should participate, and the deadline, I had mentioned January. It's actually 29th of February. So they even give guidance on how you should on how to participate there. And they give guidance, and everything is very important. And they're like, if you're thinking of participating, please fill in this form. We are going to fill that form together. So for today, let's not continue down, but let's focus. Let's go to the sample questions previously asked, because the question is which other people have asked is a magic bullet for us to get the message, home. Yeah, so I've downloaded it. And so this is the sample questions which they have shared. So it's called the Trinity Challenge on Antimicrobial Resistance sample questions. So they have a number of questions which people have previously asked. The first one, how can data and analytics reduce the impact of AMR? No, they are saying the challenge is a call to action to the world's biggest mind to answer one central question. So they have a question they want us to respond to, and this is the one. So the question is, do you have something to contribute to this big question? And if you do, that's a great point to begin from. What are the objectives of this particular challenge? So they're about innovation, they're about integration, they're about implementation. So even you, when you're choosing what you want to contribute to or what you want to respond to, it should be around these three things. They begin breaking down what innovations are. They continue to give more information about innovation. They give more information about integration. This information, when you're trying to respond to the call, is very important because it helps you to structure yourself, but also it guides you to have a very good scope of your work. So all that information is very important, but we may not go through everything. But if you're interested, I'm happy to share this call with you such that you can understand it in details. I don't want to go through it in detail because I may bore other people who are not from the field of antimicrobial resistance or who are not doing work in antimicrobial resistance. So for me, that kind of structuring yourself is very important. But let's go through this. Let's show them that we are planning to participate. So how do we show we are planning to participate? We show that by filling the form. So let's go and we see which questions are in the form, because these writing grants and writing these grants or research funds is not hard. The harder thing is to follow instructions. The harder thing is to follow instructions. Most people struggle so much to follow instructions. So you just need to be humble and follow instructions. So they are saying express interest. Even you click and you begin expressing interest. When they ask, do you have something to say about antimicrobial resistance? Even you say, yes, I have something to say about it. When they ask you to say it, even you say it. But the question is, which we have just talked about, they help you to be very systematic and be very strategic. They are very important. So we are now expressing interest. They are saying expression of interest, Trinity challenge on data-driven solution to AMR in low and middle-income countries. Please fill this form if you aim to participate in the Trinity challenge and or have useful expertise for other participants. So they ask for the email. Let me just put my email there. They ask for the full name. I will try to put my full name there. Which position do you hold? I will try to put my position that I hold there. Which department are you in? I will try to tell them that I'm in the Department of Vet Medicine. You are thinking of applying because you already have an idea and a team. You already have an idea, but you are looking for further research expertise or partners. You don't have an idea, but you have useful expertise, others. So for me, let me say I don't have an idea for now, but I have expertise on antimicrobial resistance. So here they ask me to summarize my idea or my expertise here. What do I know about antimicrobial resistance? And so I can type whatever I know about AMR. I don't want to bore you or bore other people who are not from the field of antimicrobial resistance. So they ask me, do you already have low and middle income countries partners? I will say yes, I have partners from Uganda, from South Sudan, from Kenya, from Rwanda, from Tanzania, so I can always find them. They say, please summarize here who your low and middle income countries partners are. Are they from Makerere? Are they professors? Are they people working in Ministry of Water? Are they the people working in Ministry of Education and Sports? Are they people working in research? Who are, so in other words, you give details of the people you want to work with, who are there. So I try to put some information there. Then they ask me, do I have any other comment? Now, that's a very interesting part because if the upper section had a word count, which most times it normally has a word count and a word limit. If there is some information which you could have been blocked to ask in the earlier sections, this where they say any other comment, this is the chance for you to talk about them. This is the chance for you to expound and explain more about yourself. So we can fill that, and after they say click submit. Now, because I've not filled well, I cannot submit because they will say this person is not serious. So that is that's just a hint on how to navigate such an application system. Now, I want to show you another very interesting part. I want to show you another very interesting part of another grant which I talked about last week. And for this case, I just want to emphasize the review process. Now, in some grants, they normally tell you what the review is going to be about. They can tell you that. And if they tell you, that's very important information for you because you will know how to position yourself. But if they don't tell you, you can use experience or you can consult with other people that, anyway, what do you think they are going to review in my work? But for this case, for them, they specified. But I won't go into details of that information. So, but they are, just look at here, they are saying that the grant challenge applicant process review for option under RSP will be executed in 4 steps. Step number 1. The first step consists of screening applications to evaluate whether proposals address the key thematic areas described in the topic. So in other words, they are trying to see, did you respond to the questions they asked, or you did not respond to the question that they didn't ask. So they are saying that Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and Welcome will conduct this initial screening jointly, and both will have access to all the information, including any personal information such as name, contact, etc. that applicant submitted. We screen for responses that are completely unrelated or specifically excluded in the topic description. Excluded proposals may encompass ideas related to the topic, but that for strategic reasons, we are not funding under RFP. In addition, we exclude proposals considered incremental advances, appropriate responses that are similar to work with BMGF. So in other words, if you already have a grant that's running, or you already have a grant which you haven't finished spending money, they may remove it from the proposal. Then they say applicants with proposals removed from consideration during the screening phase will be notified that their proposals were declined, but will not receive specific feedback. So they even tell you that, please, you know what? If you don't follow these steps, your work is going to be, they're going to tell you that, you know what, your work has been removed, but they won't give you why they have removed it. So in step number 2, reviews will be chaired or co-chaired by the technical leads from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and Wellcome Trust. Not all reviewers will have deep expertise in the topic. Please consider this information when drafting your proposal. So in other words, when you're writing your proposal, don't use very, very technical language. You may want to use English, not the scientific or very, very serious jargons that you know in your specific area. So to identify or avoid conflicts of interest among applicant reviewers only be permitted to review proposals from organizations with which the reviewers has self-identified conflicts of interest. So for example, if I'm from Makerere University, Uganda, and I'm invited to review a project, I must declare that, you know what, colleagues, I work with Makerere University. So some of the applicants from Makerere University may be my colleagues, and that in one way or the other may influence how I look at their proposal. So please remove me from reviewing Makerere proposals. You can give me others from, say, Bangladesh, India, or something like that. And then they can say, okay, Abel, you review those from Kenya. I'm like, okay, but I have so many friends in Kenya. Some of the applicants from Kenya are likely to be my colleagues. So I request to be exempted from Kenya as well. So at the review stage, you declare those conflicts of interest, and they are very important. Otherwise, you bias the review process. But what I want us to talk about right now is that the criteria considered in these reviews for A and B will have the following. Number 1, potential to lead to solutions with substantial impact related to the topic that you've chosen. So all funders, all the people giving out money, they are going to look for substantial impact of your work. So it is very important for you to think through the impact of your work. And you should actually be able to bring it out in the proposal. That this work is going to do this, is going to do the other, is going to do the other. Don't be quiet about it. Mention it. Because the funders want to hear the impact you're going to create. The second thing I wanted to emphasize is that they will consider the scientific and the technical excellence and innovation. So in other words, what you're proposing to go and work on in Uganda or in Kenya, from the technical expertise, is it a good idea? Is it innovative? But how is the methodology of how you are planning to approach it? Is the methodology creative enough? If it is not creative, they may not consider it. Do you have a clear and rigorous conceptual framework for activities? So it is very important for you to think through what you're planning to go and do. And if possible, can put it in a visual or graphical way. But if they don't ask for it, no problem. But you can see what funders are asking for. They're asking for creativity. So whenever we are writing grants, we need to be creative. They are saying clear differentiation from existing approaches. So if the approaches for washing hands are like this, are you proposing another approach? Or you are going to use the same approach? That's very important for you to consider when you're writing these grants. Look at the third one, the project plan. They investigate and organization capabilities and potential for collaboration. So it's when you're proposing your work, the person whom you put in front as the principal investigator or the lead of the team is a very important person. That person can either attract the grant or that person can make you miss the grant. So you must be very careful on who you are putting in front. If you have a very good idea, but you are a P3 dropout, yet you know the funders are looking for master's degree holders, what you do, you work with a colleague. You make a colleague who has a master's to be in front, and for you, you can be in the background, or you can be the second person. Is it a bad thing? We will say not so bad, because if you can win money and bring money, you will implement your project. As you grow, as yourself you grow, because with time you no longer, you can now upgrade, or you can be more impactful. Your idea can be more influential, and then things can change upside down. But the other important aspect I want us to talk about is the value in terms of appropriateness of the budget and the timeline, relevant the project complexity, risk, and potential impact. So when you're proposing funds in the budget, you need to be realistic. If you say, I'm going to buy a vehicle of 800 million for you to go and give water to people in the village X, they will say, no, this person is just joking around. You can't use 800 million to buy a vehicle to take 2 jerrycans, 2 liters of water in a village X. So they will not give you funding if they realize that your budget is maybe overblown. So for me, what I want to emphasize regarding grants application, step number 1 is to follow the instructions. That information is always given, even if it is not stated, it's on the website. The second important thing is to read the success story of other people who have won those grants. What did they submit? What did they work on? How did they write? And those success stories are either, they are always there written on their websites. And then from there, you take it on. The other aspects, of course, is to keep time. You must be able to keep time. If you don't keep time, you'll be able to miss the opportunity, not because you don't have a brilliant idea, but just because of time. So time is very important. But following step by step is a gold mine. If you can follow step by step, you're likely to pull the funds and you bring it yourself. And so I want to thank you so much for listening. I want to give a chance for you to make inquiries and we learn together.